It was Mitt Romney's big night, and what a night it was. You're looking live at the Tampa Bay Times Forum, where Romney just accepted the Republican nomination for president.
We have extensive team coverage live from Tampa, capturing all of tonight's big moments, including Florida's own rising star, U.S. Senator Marco Rubio's big moment on stage.
So how did Mitt Romney do on what's being called his most important speech of his political career?
Let's turn things over to our very own Michael Williams and Roxanne Stein, who were there for the big event.
Good evening to you from the Tampa Bay Times Forum. Again, a rousing welcome, of course, from the thousands of delegates gathered here for the Republican National Convention for Mitt Romney, who's basking the applause right now as we take a look at some more live pictures, Roxanne.
He certainly is, and no matter what your political affiliation is, there's nothing like witnessing live someone saying, I accept the nomination, your nomination for president.
It's political theater, even if you already knew the convention outcome months and months ago. Mitt Romney today, borrowing from a theme first tried very successfully by Ronald Reagan in the 1980s, as you see him come out just before his speech, essentially asking Americans if they feel they're better off than they were 4 years ago, and trying to contrast his business career with what he says is a complete lack of one for his opponent, President Obama. Here are excerpts of Mitt Romney's remarks this evening.
4 years from the excitement of that last election, for the first time, the majority of Americans now doubt that our children will have a better future. It's not what we were promised. Now is the moment when we can stand up and say, I'm an American. I make my destiny. We deserve better. My children deserve better. My family deserves better. My country deserves better. In America, we celebrate success. We don't apologize for success. Every president since the Great Depression who came before the American people asking for a second term could look back at the last 4 years and say with satisfaction, you're better off than you were 4 years ago, except Jimmy Carter, and except this president. This president can ask us to be patient. This president can tell us it was someone else's fault. This president can tell us that the next 4 years he'll get it right. But this president cannot tell us that you're better off today than when he took office.
An argument Mitt Romney will make again and again on the campaign trail over the next 70 days leading up to Election Day. He talked about lower taxes, about smaller government, though he didn't go into great detail. But that is the theme of the argument he will continue to make on the campaign trail, hoping it's a contrast that, for Americans worried about their pocketbooks in the future, will contrast sharply, he and Republicans hope, with the message from Democrats. Of course, we'll be hearing from them next week. But what happens when all the balloons are gone and all the energy leaves this building as the night ends? What happens then for the Florida Republican delegates who go out onto the hustings to try and sell the Republican message? Our colleague, News Channel 5's Evan Axelbank, takes a look at that.
Their place on the floor shows Florida is of central importance to Republicans. Their party's high-profile senator and big-name former governor had primetime speaking slots. Florida Delegate Carol Hurst, a grassroots organizer, remembers how much energy the last convention had, and then how it felt when John McCain lost the state and the election.
My husband was a naval officer and served under John's father in Vietnam, so it was crushing.
This time, Republicans scheduled 3 high-profile Floridians to speak in prime time of the grand finale. Hurst says this time it'll be easier to talk up Mitt Romney and Paul Ryan once the convention lights fade, saying the country's mood seems to be against the president.
You have a lot of good things to talk about. You just do it. You hit the sidewalks, you hit the phones, you have coffees in your house.
They're going up, though, against a fierce Obama ground game that has offices open in nearly every corner of the state. Polls show it's still anyone's race, and that it may come to energizing base voters rather than the traditional undecideds. Martin Simmons will organize for Romney in Santa Rosa County.
I'm going to call Republicans that don't vote all the time in the presidential. That is the easiest way to get it, the lowest pickings on the tree.
As the quadrennial political party wound down and Florida's speakers tried to make lasting impressions with potential volunteers, Simmons said he just had a good feeling that only an unforeseen event could stop Florida from flipping back to the GOP.
some crazy October surprise, something we find out Mitt Romney really wears a toupee, that kind of thing.
And as far as making their case to the people who are watching at home on TV, Roxanne, I asked the delegates whether it was better to have your party's convention go first or second. Some said they were happy to make the first impression. Others said they were jealous that the president gets to bat last on this one.
Yeah, you hear that a lot. The second team usually has an advantage too, according to analysts.
It's better to be on at home or on the road.
It all is how you play in the next 2 months. That's what it's really going to come down to. And before Mitt Romney took the stage tonight, Florida Senator Marco Rubio, really got the delegates revved up when he took the stage, distinctly outlining the differences between President Obama and Mitt Romney.
But in the end, this election doesn't matter how you feel about President Obama, because this election is about your future, not about his. And this election is not simply a choice between a Democrat and a Republican. It's a choice about what kind of country we want America to be. And as we prepare to make... And we're special. We're special because we're united in mind.
And by all accounts, the early blogs indicate that Rubio hit it out of the park, talking about women, family, and reaching out to that swing Hispanic vote, speaking in Spanish, and getting a loud applause from the delegates.
Trying to close the gap among Hispanics who overwhelmingly at this point favor President Obama, trying to close the gap for women voters. One interesting point, Tom Brokaw on NBC pointed out, in what sets up as a debate about small government, big government, Mr. Romney tonight took pains to talk about the success of the Apollo project. Neil Armstrong, who just died last week, talked about his first steps on the moon. And yet, as Tom Brokaw pointed out, it was one of the biggest government-private partnerships in the nation's history. And the Democrats will argue that's part of the debate about that correct size of that partnership. You'll hear a lot about that debate in the months to come.
Yeah, how much do you trim, and what do you do, and what loses and what wins?
Back in just a moment with more coverage. For now, we throw it back to you in the studio, Kelly and Jay.